was pleased with our attitude and our effort in the scrimmage. Uh, Obviously, I have pretty high expectations. So I always want more. There's a lot of things, corrections we can make to get better, but I think we're on the right track, especially with a younger group of players on our team and a younger team. There's positives that we're headed in the right direction, and then the great thing is I think the things that we can fix are very coachable things. I mean, they're very tangible. Guys are seeing things that need to get fixed and corrected. And so we got a couple weeks to get those things fixed before we have to go play. But I liked our attitude and our effort.
With this type of team and this type of extended preseason, how do you structure the scrimmaging, whether it's in practice days or just full?
Well, we'll have two main scrimmages. You got to be careful with those, because you're full on scrimmage. We only do two of those and try to space them out with enough time in between to get all the corrections and the things to evaluate how guys do in the stadium with the lights on and, coaches, everybody off to the side and not a controlled situation where, hey, this is a red zone drill, hey, this is a play action drill. It's just, you got to put it all together in a game. So we'll do another scrimmage a week from today, and then that'll be our last one, about 16 days before kickoff. So that's our scrimmage routine.
How did the quarterbacks kind of manage the offense in a game-like setting?
Did a good job. It's great teaching that, of transitioning from one to the next, of, transitioning first down to third down, second and short, second and long, red zone, how the game's moving at different times in different parts of the field. So I thought they did a good job. It's still sometimes, and it's still hard to recreate the what it is like in a game. Games are a little different, but we try to do is get it as close as they can, and they did. They were all right.
You mentioned a few times wanting the young wide receivers to step up since the spring. Even has anybody sort of separated from that pack yet? Anybody
No, not really. They're working. We got a ways to go. I'm still waiting to see somebody, be a guy that Osiris made a couple plays in the scrimmage. I'm waiting to see who's the guy that's consistently. Reggie had a big time play in the scrimmage. So I'm waiting to see consistently though. Who's going to be the guy? I got to see somebody that can go make the play, and then I want to see you do it on a consistent basis. So that's what we're lacking right now for those guys. I think they can make the plays. We just got to see them consistently.
Has Gabe been consistent with that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think our veteran guys have been really good. Our veteran guys have been better. I don't think really good, but better. Donald and Gabe and Jesse Jackson, and Dedrick Thomas, and even Keith Mixon. You've seen consistency out of those guys, which you need to see.
How do you think Keith could help there?
Mixon?
Yeah.
Oh, in a huge way. Especially with Malik being down. Very similar style players. Malik's a little bigger. Keith's probably a little quicker and faster, but have a lot of similarities in their style of play and things that they can do. So he's gonna be a big part of our offense.
How does Dedrick kind of fit into that? Talking to him the other day, he said he feels more comfortable now at the slot position.
He's done a really good job of the slot, but the great thing Dedrick brings is he can move around for us. You know what I mean? So and you've seen the consistent play out of him. It's the guy we thought that when we recruited him, the type of player he'd be. So I think he's comfortable in the slot, but he also, gives us flexibility to move him inside and outside.
How much of those JUCO transfers in the secondary pushed your veterans that were back? Guys like Abram and Cole and Landers.
I think they add a lot of, they add some depth to that group right there in competition. So, me defensively, I want to play guys, so we sit in meetings. I want to know, who's 1A, who's 1B. That goes back years ago to, I told the guys on the defense that 2 years ago. I think we might have been an Arkansas game, year 2, my second year here or something, a double overtime game here. I think Charles Mitchell played 109 snaps, including special teams. And you're not going to be very productive on snap 109. I don't want guys playing more than 30 to 40 snaps on our defense. So I think that depth and pushing guys and competing, because I think they understand that they're not just competing for a starting job, they're competing for reps and how many reps they're going to get, and that's what I want us to be defensively, is to be able to come at you in waves.
You mentioned the defense. Can you see the addition of Talendo Cleveland? Is that helping out that unit with his experience and leadership?
Absolutely. You know, I mean, I think there's a guy. Anything you do, even showing film. You know, like, hey, let's look at this situation. Even game film. A couple years ago, we were in a situation like this, and I think that it's a lot to guys in the room of them turning on a game and a team that was, you know, #1 team in the country, and look at what those guys did, and everybody looking around the room. And there's Talendo Cleveland on the field making plays. I think that brings a lot of kind of the respect to guys and his demeanor, his attitude, and his maturity helps, you know, when they can look and say, hey, there's a guy that's been there, and he's done that. You know, so I think his leadership is huge for the team.
You mentioned Friday you hadn't really done a whole lot with the kickers just yet. Have
Yeah.
you able to do anything more with them?
Yeah, they kicked today. They did really well. They did a really good job today. I mean, they were. I don't know. We just did a kicking competition at the end of practice, and they all the way back to 50-some yards, 50-plus yards. They were there were 3 guys that were 5 for 6, so that was pretty solid. You know, I don't know that anybody separated themselves, but nobody separated themselves in the spring because we didn't see a lot of positives. People not separating themselves because I'm not seeing a lot of negatives right now, so that's a good thing. You know, the competition's between, you know, I mean, getting to a point where you got to be perfect all the way back to 57 yards, you know, if you're going to win the competition of the day.
With Elton taking over at center now, how has he progressed in the first couple of weeks of camp?
He's done pretty well. You know, and we keep moving guys around. You know, we got to keep getting combinations and moving some guys around. So we've also got Martinez some snaps at center too. Harris Moon snaps at center. You know, of just plugging some guys in with different combinations so guys are comfortable with whoever's going to be out there on the field. But I think he's taken that role seriously, and which is important because I mean that's a guy that's kind of the leader of the O-line right there at that center, and so you know we need a guy there that's going to get everybody going in the right direction.
Has he been behaving that way in meeting rooms or kind of away from the field as a leader of that unit?
Yeah, I'm not with him all the time, but he, you know, he's grown up, which is what you want to see out of those guys. You know, I mean, he understands the toughness that you need to be successful at that position.
You mentioned 3 kickers. Who did well? So
Today, yeah, we had 3 of them compete today.
Who was the third guy?
I don't know who were the first 2.
Jordan Wallace and
Dan Mills.
Okay.
Yeah, they went today. Those are the 3 that competed today. They were pretty good.
You also have sort of that still logjam at running back. Has anybody emerged from that group behind Aris Williams?
Behind Aris?
Mm-hmm.
Aris done a good job. D. Lee's done a really good job. You know, I mean, this you still see the same with the young guys. Nick Gibson, you know, you see some great plays from him. You see Kylan Hill make some really special plays. You know, then they got to make sure they know what they're doing in protections and all the other aspects of the game. And I think that's where those guys they're still grinding away, learning. You know what I mean? So I mean, I've seen some great plays, spectacular plays, but it's the consistency of performance.
You mentioned the spectacular plays with Kylan Hill. How hard does that make that decision, I guess, for him to be on the field this year?
It's not hard because I don't pay much attention to spectacular plays with him. You know what I mean? I mean, it doesn't do as much good if he's going to get somebody killed out there on the field. You know, just because he can make one spectacular play in the course of the game, but he gets 4 people freaking hurt the rest of the game. Not going to help us win much. So, but I do think, you know, I mean, he's a guy that, I mean, you see him wanting to do it. You know, it's not like, hey, you know, the maturity factor of, hey, didn't you see my great run? Give me the ball. I think he understands it's so much more than that, which is what you have to do. That's the maturing and the growing of players. Of, you know, most guys want to evaluate themselves on their best play. You know, come in and, hey, tell me about your practice, and they want to start with their best play. We're kind of the reverse. You want to tell me about your practice? Start with your worst play and work up, because that's where we have to judge ourselves. And if we can shrink that, you know, if your worst play is pretty darn good, we're in a good position. You know, and So I think our guys, they've bought in and they understand that.
On the other side of the ball, Willie Gay, is his head still kind of spinning out there? How's he kind of?
He's getting some great reps. I think we've getting some reps with the 2 defense. So when you get some quality reps like that, I think, a lot of times, especially as a younger player, you can, your level of play is going to increase because of the guys around you. And so we spend time in that at media. That's why we'll mix up different combinations with guys. Because we want to see, hey, when you're the top guy on the field in this group, of a lesser group, maybe you don't perform quite as well, but we're going to put you with better players, and they're going to pick up your level of play around you. Not just Willie, a lot of positions, but you do get to see that. And so he's getting some quality reps with some of the better players, and I think that's going to help him constantly improve because, like anything, the standard, even he gets reps with the ones. That's standard. If you're going to go out there with the first group out on the field, the standard's really high of everybody. So that's going to kind of force you to raise your level of play.
What are you hoping to get done over this next week before we get up in scrimmage again?
Well, this got to be this is really the grind right now. We had kind of like the mini camp with school going on. We finished up in a lot of installation. We have a little bit more to go, but most of the installation was in. We had a scrimmage. This week's kind of the grind week. A little bit of installation, but a lot of grinding. I've gotten away from the 2-a-days, from a lot of the other things, but this has got to be kind of the mental, physical grind for the next 5 days, kind of for us, till the start of school. And then, next Wednesday school starts, and our guys are in school half the day.
I don't know if you've thought about it, but this is the first year in 5 that there are new coaches in the West.
Really?
13 was when Brett and Gus were both hired, and since then it's been the same group.
Wow. Okay. That's cool.
What has it been like just coaching against those guys every week? I don't
know. I go to the meeting every year, and there's usually a new face or two in the coaches meeting, but I guess they've been on the east side.
Yeah. So, just what's it been like coaching against those guys, and does it push you as a coach and motivate you as a coach to keep your program up when they're all doing the same thing?
I think, when you look at it, all of us are in this position because we're pretty competitive.
Yeah.
So the competitive juices are kind of always flowing, and we usually express it through the game of football. I'll be honest with you, if we had the SEC meetings, or if Destin, if they took that thing out in the basketball court or something, threw a ball out there in the middle of the meeting, I bet it'd be a couple bloody lips and a black eye walking off the court too. I think that's the competitiveness that everybody has. So, but it's I think you just get to know the guys too. You enjoy competing against them. I don't know that we all hang out socially very often. So, but you have a kind of a competitive professional respect for the different guys you go against, and you go against a guy enough times, you just kind of,
you start to kind of figure out his ticks and his rhythms.
Yeah, at times. At times you do. I think a lot more football-wise, you're getting more into like the play call, you're getting into the scheme and the play caller and all of that stuff, the strategy than maybe just what the head coach's deal is. But you get maybe a feel of when they're going to take some shots, some different when they're going to go for it, the aggressiveness, the style, what type of approach they're going to bring to a game. You get used to people.